Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This video, I'm going to talk about exams that you need to take if you're going to apply to a university. If you're interested, continue watching. I have created a table for you where on top we have different types of programs. We have bachelors, we have masters, and we have PhD. Some of you might ask, Marina, where's the MBA program? And I would tell you that MBA is a master's program with concentration management. So the admissions criteria would be pretty much the same. On the other side, we have different rankings of the universities. We have universities and colleges that work with pathway programs. We have lower ranking universities that are average, we have good universities, and we have top universities, Ivy League. So let's look deeper into each category. Pathway programs. So pathway programs are normally held at language schools. So for example, you're an international student, you're coming to the US, you don't want to take any exams. You just want to brush up your language skills and then get accepted to a college that you like. Please note that not all of the colleges work with pathway programs, and if you're seeking admissions with financial aid, if you're going through a pathway program, don't think about financial aid, because universities and colleges that work with pathway programs normally would not provide any financial aid, and on top of that, you would need to pay for your pathway program. But if you have a budget, the average pathway program lasts 16 to 24 weeks. You pay around $300 to $400 a week, and then you don't need to take any exams. You just go straight to university that you selected. You might be asked to submit a personal statement, recommendation letters, fill in the application, but then that's it. No TOEFL, no IELTS, no nothing. Just go straight to universities. They would also partner with some universities for master's programs like Florida International University. For PhDs, I haven't seen a lot of pathway programs, but if you're interested, you can definitely find them. I will leave a link below to our pathway programs. If you need more information, you can just look and see how much it costs and which universities they work with. Line number 2, average universities. So average universities would require international student to take a language test, and that's basically it. No other exams. So for example, Temple University has an acceptance rate of 56%, but let's look at their minimum TOEFL requirements. Their minimum TOEFL is 79. Their minimum IELTS is 6.0, and this is basically it. This is what you need to take to get into Temple University. But please keep in mind that there are two different tests. There's IELTS and TOEFL. One tip from me, if you're looking to apply to American universities only, I would suggest taking TOEFL, because not all of the American universities accept IELTS. Like some program in Harvard would not accept IELTS. So you're on the safer side if you're taking TOEFL for American universities. For British universities, take IELTS, because British immigration system would not accept TOEFL as proof of your language proficiency when you're applying for a student visa. So be careful here. First, have a list of your universities and then decide on which exams you would need to take. So, average universities would only require a language test for their master's and PhD programs. You take your language test and that's it. You're good to go. Now we're looking at a little higher ranking universities that would require a standardized test. If we're looking at bachelor's programs in those universities, you either take SAT or ACT. This is a standard examination that American students take when they graduate from high school. If you're from another country, you would need to prepare for that exam and take it in your country. One thing to remember about SAT, what is different from TOEFL and IELTS. So SAT is held on specific dates throughout the year, like once a month. You can only take it on those dates. When we're talking about TOEFL or IELTS, they would be held every single week in big cities, so you're safe there. The difference between SAT and ACT is that SAT is more about critical thinking, solving logical problems. So if you're good at maths, I would definitely recommend SAT. ACT is more of a strict knowledge exam. So for example, knowing definitions of different terms, knowing some formulas. So if you're not really good at logical thinking, but really good at like learning things, I would suggest ACT. When we're talking about foreign students, I would always say SAT, because in terms of language, it's a little easier, especially again, if you're good at maths. But try both, see what works, because major universities accept both SAT and ACT for bachelor's programs. For master's programs, there are two types of exams that people take, GRE and GMAT. Again, GMAT is more analytical, logical, more business related, and programs that are about economics like MBA, Masters in Marketing, Masters in Finance, will require you to take GMAT. If we're talking about any other master's degree, like Masters in Physics, Masters in Chemistry, Masters in Biology, they will require you to take GRE. GRE is a little harder on English language side, like they have really academic terms that you would only find in books, but GMAT is harder in terms of like logical stuff, solving problems, etc. For PhD, it's the same. It's either GRE or GMAT. GMAT for economics, GRE for everything else. And now the hardest thing ever, getting into an Ivy League or top ranking university. Like for example, if we take MIT, bachelor's in MIT, you need to take TOEFL or IELTS, you need to take SAT, and you need to take at least 2 SAT subject tests. So for example, for bachelor's in mathematics, you would need to take SAT Maths 1 and SAT Maths 2. So basically, if you're applying to a top university bachelor's program, you would need to take 4 tests. And this is why I always tell people, like, if you are targeting a top school, make sure you start your preparation 2 years before you apply, 3 years before you apply, like, because there are so many things you need to take care of, and personal statements for top universities need to be like super amazing, but we're going to talk about that later in this course. Anyways, for top universities, bachelor's, 4 exams. For master's programs, if we take top economics programs, Stanford MBA, Harvard MBA, Harvard Masters, it's still just GMAT, but in some universities with other programs like Masters in Chemistry, Masters in Biology, if it's really advanced, there is also GRE Subject. So like GRE in Chemistry, GRE in Biology. If those master's programs are so advanced that they require prior knowledge, you would need to take GRE Subject. And last but not the least, PhD, pretty much the same. Sometimes they would require SAT subjects, but if we're talking about economics, it's almost always just GMAT and that's it. So now you know what kinds of exams you need to take. Again, the more easy it is to get in, like pathway, no exams, etc., the less financial aid there is. For high-ranking universities, it's harder to get in, but you have a lot of financial aid. Like Harvard, Stanford, MIT wouldn't even look at what you have on your bank account when making the decision about whether they admit you or not, because they have this rule: if you get accepted, we're gonna help you with your finances, we're gonna give you all means of financial aid so you can continue your education in our school. That was it from me for today, guys. If you're still working on your table, I suggest that today you fill in the column with the required tests. Oh, another very important thing that I forgot to mention, like TOEFL and IELTS, right? For these exams, you would need to hit the minimum the university requires. Like if the university says you need 79 on TOEFL and you have 78, there's a good chance they wouldn't even consider your application. They would be like, no, we require 79. So make sure you're above that minimum requirement. For SAT, GRE, GMAT, they wouldn't normally give you a minimum. They would consider your application either way, but look at the average score that students who got admitted got last year, for example. So if the average GRE score is 320, make sure you're 320 or above, or 310 like is your minimum, because otherwise your application would be really weak. And again, if you're applying with the hope to get financial aid, you need to be higher than average. Now this is it from me, guys. Any questions, please comment down below. This is like so helpful when you comment. This is so helpful when I hear your feedback, because you know, it's not just me talking to the camera, it's me teaching you. Let me know what's your progress. Like, have you found any universities that provide financial aid? If yes, comment down below. What are those universities? What are those programs? Like, people are dying to hear what are those universities. Okay, comment down below with the universities that you found. This is your homework, and I will see you in the next class.